Hey everybody, my name is Andrew Miller from Alliance Abroad Group, and today we will be talking about the Work Experience Australia program. We offer paid internships in hospitality, business, and events programs, and the best part about it is that you have a guaranteed job before you arrive in Australia. So the point behind this conversation is that we discuss our program and we also view a slideshow. Shouldn't take too long, but we will have everything going here in a few minutes. So as I mentioned, the Work Experience Australia program has placements for participants in the culinary, hospitality, bartending, and other positions in Australia involved in the hospitality industry. We have 2 to 3 or 6 month programs in the event and business categories. And we have 6 or 12-month positions in the hospitality programs. The first step really is deciding which program you would like. Do you want the 2 or 3 month event or internship program, or would you like the 6 or 12-month hospitality program? Once you've discovered that, you would submit your application, and soon after, you would receive a welcome email from one of my colleagues who works in our office, and then we would start working for you. So our program does involve a fee. The 6-month fee is $1,500, and the 12-month fee is $2,500. A lot of participants are very curious as to what does this cover. This covers professional resume review. The most important aspect is that it covers a job placement before you get to Australia. We schedule mock interviews and interviews for all of our participants. We also have a pre-departure orientation before they leave for Australia. Once they arrive, we have 2 nights in a hostel for them. We also schedule a tax file in consultation with TaxBack. And the best part about it is that all of our participants have a great experience. Although we do have a fee associated with the program, there's numerous ways to pay. One of them is self-funded, so all of our participants pay the fee up front. And at the end of their program, they have a Australian tax return. This comes after 6 months of working in Australia, and it at times pays for the program. So we classify it as cost neutral. We also have a deferred payment option where we work with TaxBack. And TaxBack essentially pays your program fee, and then they take that program fee from your Australian tax return at the end of your 6 months. We've also started working with this company called Fund My Travel, and that is like a Kickstarter campaign, which is really great because it allows all of our participants to ask friends and family to help them get to Australia. As I mentioned in the last slide, one of the great parts about our program is that all of our participants are going to have a 6-month Australian tax return. So what this means is that after 6 months, most participants will have an estimated earnings of about $12,000, which at times could get them, roughly a $4,000 refund. After 12 months, participants would make roughly $25,000, and they could expect an $8,000 refund as well. The minimum wage in Australia is $16.52, so it's significantly higher than it is in the United States. Most of the questions that I'm asked on a daily basis are on this page. These are some of the most important questions that participants ask as well. So how do I get my visa? The visa is done at the last stages of the program. What happens is, I'm going to run through it. I'm just going to run through it, see how long it takes. What happens is towards the end of the program, we help participants find the visa, and we speak with them about the visa as well as flight. So we'll tell them where to go to get the visa. It doesn't take very long. Typically takes about 48 hours to a week. What type of internship will I receive? This is another question I hear all the time. So we have a variety of different positions. We have positions in food and beverage. We have bartending positions. We have housekeeping positions, front desk, guest services, and we also have customer service positions. We place participants in these jobs by looking at their experience. So if a participant has experience in food and beverage, let's say 2 years of experience in food and beverage, then we'll place them in a food and beverage role. If they have experience in front desk, then we would place them in a front desk role. We seldom place participants in positions that they don't have experience in, because the hotels and resorts that we work with typically want participants with experience. The third question that I receive is my housing provided? We have two types of options in Australia. We have a large number of hotels and resorts that we work with in large cities. And we also have resorts and hotels in more rural locations. If participants are placed in rural locations, then they will have housing provided. A rural location is typically about an hour, hour and a half, at least, away from a major city. These provided housing, these staff accommodation, are typically shared accommodation. So participants would be sharing a room. They'd be sharing a bathroom as well, and they would also have a shared common area. Most of the participants enjoy having the rural placements, because they really get to know who they're working with, and they get to experience a part of Australia that not many folks experience. The final question is, how much will I get paid? So that all depends on the experience, and it also has a little bit to do with location. Some participants, if they are placed in Sydney, can make anywhere between $16 to $22 an hour. We have had participants in areas such as Port Douglas, and they have made anywhere from $16 to $20 an hour as well. It's mostly because the housing and cost of living in areas such as Port Douglas are a bit less. So when we look at a map of Australia and we speak to participants, one of the questions that I ask is, when do you want to go to Australia? And the answer I receive from participants is, when can I go to Australia? So this is a map showing a few things. This map shows where we currently work with some of the locations, and it also shows the high seasons and the peak hiring seasons of Australia. So as you can see, March through September is the peak hiring season for the northern portion of Australia. So you'd be looking at Cairns, Port Douglas, some of the Whitsunday Islands, and Brisbane. And the southern portion, their peak hiring season is October through March. We place a lot of participants in Sydney, Melbourne, Perth. We also have placed participants in Tasmania in the past as well, and they have very much enjoyed that area. We have placed participants in Darwin, and we've decided to stick to the states of Queensland, New South Wales, and Victoria, as well as Western Australia. This last slide is testimonials from our participants. So all of these participants are in our program or have been in our program. In the past, we've had participants such as Matt. He was a guest services agent in a hotel in Sydney, and he really enjoyed exploring the city and learning about the history of the hotel he was in. Lance is a participant who won one of our competitions. He won a cooking competition. So he actually got to fly to Australia. We flew him to Australia. We gave him a placement, and he is currently working in a hotel in Sydney. Jessica is a business and events participant. She is in Melbourne and is enjoying her time quite a lot. Allison was one of our participants, and she was working in Coral Bay, which is in Western Australia. She enjoyed her time in Western Australia and I believe is still living in the area. And the final picture of the young lady feeding the kangaroos is one of our participants named Janelle. She was one of our first participants, and she was living in Darwin. She did the program for a year, ended up living with a host family, and really enjoyed her time living in Australia. So that is the conclusion of the Work Experience Australia program. We want to make sure that all participants are enjoying their time in Australia. We want to make sure that they are all paid well, and that they all get an experience that they aren't always able to experience in the US. If we have any further questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them via the link. And what I will do right now also is play a video of one of our participants named Marcus.
Let's go back to your thing, your hangout.
Let's see. I don't know where it's at.
So like your hangout, and then you're gonna again share screen. Share screen. And I can control this.
Can you hear sound over there?
Yeah.
You can.
Sounds good.
Even from the video?
Not yet. So I think there's like a 15-second lag time. Okay. No, you can't hear sound from that video. Reasons why.
Do you want me to stop the broadcast?
No, let's just keep going. Let's read. Let's back.
Is it still not working?
So no, that's not working. Use something like this. You're sleeping.
I wish I could figure out like the timer on this. Like how long has it been going for?
Minutes and 36 seconds. Why did this sound on my screen share it? Is it up for a second? It's 3:30. Let's skip the video for the time being. Sharing the video.
Is 10 minutes like too short a time for like a video hangout?